You're so much deeper when you quit playing charades. Yeah. You act so cool, but underneath you seem fake. There's something sweet about your eyes when you feel safe. Yeah. But you keep running away. Owe it to yourself to dare. Just try to open up and show someone you care. You might not be intentional, but you seem scared. Just try to open up and let it leave.
Does a bit of dancing in the backfield, gets free, then quickly delivers. Second option is there. Murphy Curran with the goal.
Okay, and welcome back to Rising High. We are here in the 9-12 bracket games where we have Copenhagen Hucks are playing against Panic Open, and we are joined by a guest commentator for this game, one of the players from Delft, as a deep shot goes up. And good start for Copenhagen Hucks. Just mid-introduction, I was just introducing Patrick joining us from Force Electro, one of the people involved in this tournament. And if you want to give a quick hello and introduce yourself and say hello to those at home, and if you have any shout outs to the players.
Yeah, good morning everyone. My name's Patrick. I've played with Force Electro, the home team here at Delft, for about 7 years. I took a quick break, so I'm personally coming out of retirement, so this is my first time at the tournament for a year or two, but it's really good to be back. Panic, the team here from Leiden, which is just up the road from Delft, so a few familiar faces. It should be a good game. The wind's died down a lot since yesterday, so we might see some more tactical ultimate. We were saying that on our earlier stream as well. The wind died down is a nice little change anyway, as we see Copenhagen Hucks here with the big pull to get us back underway. Nice landing spot for it. See if Panic can get it off the sideline. And nice deep by the defender there. Copenhagen Hucks coming out here with a strong start. Walking up to it slowly. You hear the shouts of end zone. This goes out the sideline as a big take for the score.
2-0, good start by Copenhagen Hucks. And we saw Panic on the stream yesterday. They had a bit of a tough game against one of the other Dutch teams, but hopefully they'll be looking to have a better game in this one. But you're playing this tournament, you said, and we haven't had your first team on the stream. Yeah, we've had we had your second team, but how's your first team doing?
Our first team has unfortunately taken a few losses yesterday, and we just lost the quarterfinal for the high division. The team is comprised of about half of the current first team from Force Electro, combined with a few of the older guys that we all played with a few years ago. I say a few, it's 6 years ago now when we won the national championship. So it's been good to see everyone again, but some of the throws are a bit rusty and athleticism is a bit lower than we're used to.
To be expected sometimes.
Indeed, yeah.
So Copenhagen Hucks here looking to see if they can go 3-0 up. I think that one just lands slightly out of bounds, so Panic going to bring it back in. If my pronunciation of these Dutch names for the Panic players isn't too good, so if you happen to know any of these players here, you can give them a shout out, because I'm going to struggle a little bit with that.
I do. We have one player on the team, shout out to Leon. He played with our team, came up through our program for many years, and unfortunately we lost him to Leiden when he moved for work. But it's good to see him out here again, and he's always welcome back, and it's nice seeing him at the party. Got Panic stuck on the sideline now, trying to get it off. Goes up line. Just a quick little grab. Seem to be happy, trying to just play it up this sideline here. Looking for options.
Retracted foul call. Copenhagen Hucks defense doing a decent job here on the sideline. Panic just having to throw it into the poach in the end, unable to get any other options, and Copenhagen Hucks going to be looking for their third one here. It's actually the first time I've heard of Copenhagen Hucks in the men's division. I actually always thought it was just a women's team, and I've never seen these purple checkered jerseys before.
They're quite cool. They might win the coolest jersey I've seen so far. And now they're moving into the red zone. Trying to find a gap, swing it off, but the wind takes it up. But there doesn't seem to be anyone in the area to apply pressure. Little give-go action there, and flips it into the end zone for a nice point there.
Yeah, Copenhagen Hucks 3-0 up. Panic struggling a bit. Yesterday they looked good at times, but they were struggling against the younger Dutch team that they were playing, and again, kind of a similar start in this one. Just seemed to struggle a small bit, and Copenhagen Hucks getting the job done. Maybe a bit too much partying last night. Again, not a big one for the parties myself, but maybe you were involved a bit in the parties last night. If you could share a bit more of the social side of this tournament with us and how it really goes.
Of course. So one of the most important competitive aspects of this tournament is actually the yearly Flip Cup tournament. And the Flip Cup tournament, if you're not aware, it's a relay race where you have to chug your drink and then flip the cup upside down, and then the next person can go. And so we had a huge turnout yesterday. We had about 30 teams sign up for that tournament. So that kind of gets the night going, and everyone's in good competitive spirits there as we see a dropped pull
here. Panic just struggling a bit. Maybe they were doing a bit too much of the Flip Cup last night, but let's see if Copenhagen Hucks can go 4-0 up here. Again, we've seemed to be a little bit cursed on the stream this weekend. We've had one game so far of all the games that have been streamed that seemed close. Every other game was close to blowout levels if we're talking about the European club season scorelines, but obviously here there's no one playing for ranking. It's just a case of just try and enjoy yourself and try and get some points on the board, but we seem to get, and then they get it back, and Copenhagen Hucks 4-0 up, and they've looked pretty good so far, and maybe even a small bit surprising to see them down in this bracket because they've looked pretty good. But you've maybe you said you unfortunately lost your last quarter final. Who were you playing against in that game? Or
we were playing the team from Darmstadt, so
Arstelunde or something like that. Yeah. So we had them on the stream yesterday. Was it a tough game, or was it close? Or
it was actually a very close game, a lot closer than the scoreboard said. It was literally a game of millimeters, this last game. We just didn't quite connect on our throws and our catches. Things popped up a little bit here and there, and they were the deserved winners. They managed to execute more consistently, and at the end of the day, that can lead to a big score difference, even though the level was actually quite evenly matched. So
yeah, I've been saying that in the win. A lot of the games yesterday, it seemed like the difference in skill level was pretty close, but sometimes a small difference in the skill level when you have the wind as such a factor as it is can actually lead to a big scoreboard and a difference. So you were also in the power pools yesterday, so you've played a couple of the top teams. Would you say you have a team you would say is the most likely of the 4 remaining teams to go on and win it, or maybe you're not even fully aware of the other quarters? I'm only aware of the game you've said and the last one we had. So
I'm not actually sure what the results were from the others. I know that Tribe was looking pretty strong. They won. We actually beat Tribe yesterday, but they won all of the other games in the pool. But they're looking very strong. I think from Ireland, they're a bit more used to playing in the windy and rainy conditions like we had yesterday. So they're looking quite strong. And yeah, the team we just played from Darmstadt, I think if they can keep their consistency up, they could stand a good chance of going relatively far.
Yeah, as we see Copenhagen Hucks here looking to go 5-0 up. I don't think we've had a game that went 5-0 yet. But we have now, and again, just maybe Panic just struggling a bit like yesterday, and sometimes you can just have a slow start and you can just be a bit frustrated, or perhaps yesterday they started in the power pools and they just find being in the 9-12 bracket maybe a little disappointing for them now, and just struggling to get it going. I believe it's their first game of the day also, not entirely sure, but actually no, it wouldn't be. This would be the second round of games for these teams, I think. So
I think they had a very early start today at around 8:30 in the morning was their first game.
So potentially partying, almost no sleep and straight to the fields, and now we're starting to see the effects of it. Maybe that's what's going on here.
It might be, and it's tough, especially when you come out, you're dialed in for a game and you get a couple of breaks against you, and you haven't been able to put anything on the scoreboard yet. You can feel the pressure start to mount quickly. So let's see if they can make an adjustment here and try and punch this one in. But as we've said, that the wind has picked up a fair amount.
Nice floaty pull here.
It's going to give them time to get under it. Panic coming out in the vertical stack here. That's number 20, Leon there. One who used to play with us at Force Electro. Dishes it back to the middle handler. Oh, it's a blind throw into the back, but that's a nice flow. Resets it. Looks a call there. Bit of contact on the mark.
Potential headbutt to the nose, maybe. It looked like he was reaching for his nose.
Let's see if Panic can keep executing into the red zone. Nice pass, little bit of handler play up here. And Leon there with the aggressive catch, attacking the disc. Wasn't quite sure who that disc was for, but took matters into his own hands, and Panic get on the board.
Yeah, good to see them getting on the board. I don't think we wanted to see too many breaks more from a neutral's perspective for Copenhagen Hucks here. But just another thing about this tournament, as the home team, I know we've had a lot of the snow sports named teams where they're kind of combinations of players. Would you say that most of those teams are from outside of the Delft area, or would you say that, because I realize you got Force Electro have 2 teams here, so I imagine you didn't have that many more players to spread onto other teams, so would you say the majority of those teams with the snow sports names are made up of people who came here in little groups to form teams from other parts of Europe?
Yeah, I think so. Those generally seem to be more of the pickup teams. There's a hat tournament here as well before the first day of competitive games where everyone gets to know each other. And I think that's something that this tournament here, Rising High, has done very consistently for years, is providing an opportunity for people to come in small groups, maybe even by themselves, and still have a nice weekend of Ultimate with a game, with a team. And they've actually been playing reasonably well with good chemistry, which has been good to see. We played one of the teams yesterday in the crossover game with the lower pool. So that's really nice to see.
Yeah, it's something I like about this tournament. It just gives, like I was saying, and you just said, it gives an opportunity for people that maybe they can't get a full team here to come. And normally at other tournaments, you usually sign up or you pick up with a team that's already in. But the idea of being able to sign up with just a couple of your friends, and maybe you get into the car and say, hey, let's go to Delft for a weekend and play some Ultimate, and who knows what kind of team we'll get put with. Maybe we'll get put with some all-stars, and maybe we'll end up having to coach the team. But either way, it's probably going to be a good party tournament. So deep shot going up here. Offensive receiver. I think he managed to toe the... he's getting some out calls there, but a good effort to toe it. Looked like he did it pretty close, and he made the grab. Unfortunately, he couldn't keep his feet inbounds, but sometimes it's hard to do both. But let's see if Copenhagen Hucks now are going to probably bring it back up a good bit of the way, and going to have a short field here to try and extend their lead. Although this is an 0 point, so we haven't seen their O-line in a while. So I believe it's an 0 point. So he's walking this. I think they're trying to discuss where it went out. People tying their shoelaces. A lot of pauses here.
I think a little bit of discussion around the rule of whether he actually made the grab and whether it should go in where he attempted to make the grab or where the throw went out.
I think what the discussion might be is that maybe his feet were in the air on the grab, so maybe he landed out. Maybe he initially made the catch from an inbounds position, although I did think his foot was down when he caught it, so I imagine that would mean it would go back to where it crossed the line, and seems to be what's happening here, but just shows that he was probably made a very good attempt on that catch, given that there was so much discussion on it, and they're really bringing it the whole way back up. So basically an end zone offense here for Copenhagen Hucks. They've one player isolated towards the front of the end zone. Fairly straightforward dump reset. And they're going to follow it up. Can they get the last pass in? Happy to dump it backwards. Some good handler motion here. Nice give and goes. Probably just looking to isolate someone at the front of the end zone if they can. To the sideline. The panic defense doing slightly better here in the end zone area, but again, feels like the Copenhagen Hucks team nearly always have a free option, so it feels like almost a matter of time before they score, but the wind has picked up a little bit and they do drop it, so Panic going to get another chance here. I think this will be their first chance at a break, so let's see if they can get back into this game and make it a little bit closer.
These are the opportunities they need to take and execute on if they want to get back into this game. Here at Rising High, the games aren't very long, so every point counts. Big disc goes up. It's floating. Who's got the better read? And Copenhagen comes down with it. 37 there.
And they're going to look to, again, still on offense here, so they're going to look to get the hole. Shoots it. Defender, I thought the defender had it, but good read and focus by the offensive player to hold on to that. And Copenhagen Hucks looking to put in their 6th point here. Nice little bladey kind of throw around the side, and that's 6-1 inside 16 minutes potentially, and this is we thought the last game was the first game that actually finished before time we've had this weekend, despite every game almost being kind of a very one-sided affair in the end. But at the pace they're going on here, this game we might even finish quicker than the last one. So Copenhagen Hucks showing that maybe they're slightly going to be underseeded maybe at the end of this event, but I have seen lots of good competitive teams in the power pool games yesterday, and as you said, you had a game with where Tribe, where you, I believe, did you come 3rd or 4th in your pool, and Tribe topped it and you ended up beating them? Was that it? Or?
Indeed, yeah. Tribe, it was actually a really good game. We were up, I believe it was 8-4. They brought it back to 8-8. We ended on Universe, and we managed to pull it in the end. But it was a good, intense, spirited game. They've been playing very well. We heard very good things from their other games. Maybe it took them a minute to readjust to the changing conditions, because it started pouring down halfway through our game.
Yeah. Oh, that was during that round of games.
It was during that round.
Okay, I understand how that our Tribe from Galway managed to come back into that. As a fellow Irishman, I've played against them many times, and maybe they weren't on the same level as they looked this weekend, but they did look very good yesterday. As we can see, Copenhagen Hucks here getting another turnover, getting a chance to take a 7-1 lead here if they can convert this break opportunity. And based on the scoreline so far and most of what we've seen, you'd imagine there's a good chance they're going to do it.
Good pressure there from number 20, Leon. Let's see if Panic can generate a turnover here. Swung back to the middle. Seems like they're playing a horizontal stack. Scoop up off the ground there. Ooh, and just a miscatch there from Copenhagen.
Panic going to get another chance here now. They'll want to convert one of these to keep this game close. I do believe they're somewhat underperforming in this game. I saw them playing yesterday, and I thought at times they looked very capable. They did some really interesting and fun throws that'll definitely make it onto some highlight reels at their end of season. And this might be one of them.
Oh, just a misread there.
Yeah, unfortunate. A nice throw. Defender was a bit taller. I thought the defender was going to have it. Then I thought the defender misread it, and I thought it was going to be an easy pancake catch, but receiver also probably got drawn in by the bigger defender. I think that happens a bit sometimes. You just see the other player and you're not sure where it's going, so sometimes you just try and go to wherever they're going and hope for the best. But this time the defender drew him in enough, and both players missing it. And I guess if you're a Copenhagen Hucks player, you don't mind misreading it if you cause your opponent to misread it also.
And it's actually a good lesson for a lot of players to, even if you can't make a full play on the disc as a defender, still to attack it, apply pressure, and try to go up for it, because you can almost bring your offense in and make them change their running route a little bit.
Yeah, I always tell people that too, but then whenever I'm in a game, I'm also wary of like, oh, I don't want to look terrible here and get absolutely wrecked by a guy skying me when I know I can't get a bid and I'm going to look like I misread it. So maybe it's something I should add to my game, is to add a bit more pressure to those, where sometimes I've noticed if I jump, younger players who know me or know me from when I used to be good, they just presume I'm going to get it, and I'm surprised by how often younger players who know of my former reputation will often just misread a disc when I'm in the area, and I often wonder, is it just because they think I'm slightly better than I am at the moment? Maybe they remember what I used to be like before I became a Masters age player. But Panic shooting deep here. I think the offensive player has the best read, but can he get there? He can't. He did have position, but the disc just drifts a bit too far out of the way.
It seems any throw that's just a little bit outside seems to be taken by the wind, and it's very hard to predict on how quickly it's going to come down. All of the deep shots that I've seen work really well this weekend have been good inside shots with a lot of spin. It does limit maybe the areas on the field you can hit very easily, but in these conditions you just have to change your game slightly and go for the options that you can throw well and consistently every time.
And I think sometimes when the wind doesn't seem as strong, players sometimes maybe overrate their shots, but not this one. This one's on the money, and Copenhagen Hucks, it's one of the better hooks they've thrown so far. I don't think they've thrown too many, but that one was really nice. And yeah, they got the short field to work with now, and they're going to get another chance to get this 7th point on the board inside about 20 minutes. Right in front of the end zone now. 2 more passes, I'm going to guess, unless he gets free open side. He doesn't seem to have an option now. Resets it. Okay, they're going to go for the dumb swing, and back to the middle again. They seem pretty confident in front of the end zone with the disc, and they pop it in straight down the middle, right up the middle for the score, and that's 7-1 now for Copenhagen Hucks. And we're going to have a pretty quick half here, it seems, unless there's a pretty big turnaround, as Copenhagen Hucks now going to play the downwind point. Although I say downwind and then I look at the flags, and it's really hard to. The wind here is a little bit crazy. I feel sometimes I'm talking about what way it's blowing, and then I look at a flag and I'm like, okay, I'm wrong.
We've seen so many times as well. You calibrate on one wind setting, you put up a throw, and then the wind changes in a second and completely changes the course.
Yeah, so I'm not sure if the Copenhagen Hucks were in the power pools yesterday. You didn't come across them in Euro 1?
We didn't come across them, no.
Again, not used to seeing them in. It's the first time I said I've seen them in the men's division. So maybe they started in the lower pool. Maybe it's from Copenhagen. I'm trying to think. Is there another? Off the top of my head, I can't think of the Danish team that is the main Danish team in KFK, yeah. That's it. I was thinking of another. So maybe Copenhagen Hucks, maybe the only better known for the women because of KFK and former and Ragnarok before them, as if Panic are going to try and score this one, and it just think he's going to want to get that one back, but. And yeah, so there's a DTU mixed team as well. I believe I've heard of those. So this Copenhagen Hucks, club I've heard of, but again, first time seeing the men's. So now I know that the men's team does exist. So and so does anyone else who was maybe in my situation. But this one just overbound. But
yeah, DTU is a team we come across quite a lot as Force Electro. They're a university team as well, so it's always good fun to play against them. A bit more reliant on athletic ability rather than good tactics and good throws, which is always a lot of fun.
Is there many European scenes in Ultimate in Europe? Because I know in Ireland, where I'm from, and the UK, that's basically how nearly all our players get into it. But I've not actually heard of too many like college championships in other countries. I believe the Netherlands has one, but I haven't heard of too many other places that have it as something competitive as that show just goes a bit too far. But I do think I saw something advertised a few years ago, like as a European Ultimate Championships for universities. I think it was in the Netherlands, and I remember thinking, I wish we knew about that when we were in Ireland. But do you know if it's a big thing in Europe, the European Ultimate scene with university teams, or?
I don't believe it is. Here in the Netherlands, at least, our university teams just play in the club national championships. And I think that's similar for other countries, although I can't be completely sure. I think maybe in France and Germany, where the scene is a bit bigger, they have some more structures in place.
Yeah.
But I think it's a big shot goes up there. Copenhagen running it down. 2 hands on it from Panic, but couldn't quite seem to come down with it.
Seemed like every player under that disc got a chance to make the grab, and timeout called. So I think we'll take a quick break here before we come back, and with potentially the last point before half.
Here we go.
This year, London Invite is bigger than ever, with 8 teams in the Open division, 8 teams in the Women's division, and for the first time, a full 8-team mixed division.
With 5 World Games teams, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, France.
As well as the Tokai Super Team, is sure to be the ultimate showcase of the best in the world.
More teams, more streams, more stars, more ultimate.
More excitement.
You're not going to want to miss London Invite 2025.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
So yeah, we're back here after the timeout at Rising High in this 9-12 bracket game. Currently 7-1 to Copenhagen Hucks against Panic. And yeah, Copenhagen Hucks here have looked pretty good. The wind has picked up, and they're going to want to try and get this one to take half. And what do you think Panic could do maybe differently to try and slow down this Copenhagen Hucks team? Or
I see quite loose defense on the handlers from Panic. Sometimes Copenhagen seems to be getting reasonable resets, moving the disc quickly. So I'd like to see them tighten up there, especially if the wind picks up. Applying pressure on the handlers could be a good tactical change.
yeah, so as we see, a couple of passes completed, but they haven't made too much progress yet. So your players clapping for the disc, demanding it. Copenhagen Hucks, handler's looking for his players to come under. He wants them to come and attack that under space. Panic doing slightly better here at slowing down the offense. The wind has picked up now, so it's almost like that extra defender is going to come into play here. But Copenhagen Hucks from Copenhagen obviously are going to be used to playing in the wind, so if they're aware of it, I think they'll be okay as they work their way slowly towards the end zone. Only 1 or 2 passes short of it. And I think there was a pick call just before that. The player did look pretty free. When he initially made that cut, the defender looked kind of close. So I feel like that one's probably going to come back. And I think, yeah, it's going to come back. So Panic doing a little bit better at slowing them down there. But in front of the end zone, Copenhagen have looked good now. So back into play. Kind of an unorthodox backhand swing, and nice grab, and that's going to be half. So I think hopefully we have our usual commentator coming back for the second half, but I was glad to have someone, Patrick here from Force Electro. So if you want to give a quick mention to anyone at home before you take off and get back ready for your future games, or if you want to give a quick shout out about anything the tournament to encourage some teams to come here again next year before we take our little break for halftime. Now's your chance to speak your mind.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been good. Yeah, big shout out to Force Electro, the club. There's everyone from the club is volunteering here this weekend, making it a really fun tournament. The level is good. Party's amazing. The Flip Cup tournament is something you won't see anywhere else at this level in Europe. And a big shout out to the people I'm playing with today, FE1. It's good to have everyone back from the good old days. And yeah, we'll see if we can bring in some wins. But hopefully we'll see some good games. Hopefully we'll see Panic manage to come back in this game. And thanks for having me.
Yeah, and thanks for joining us, and we'll bring you back here shortly for the second half of this game in the 9-12 game between Panic and Copenhagen Hucks.
Does a bit of dancing in the backfield.
And we are back with the second half of action in this rising bracket. The guest commentator has just left the stand as he has to warm up for his own game with FE1, and we witness a big hammer towards the end zone, and a few players trying to get that. A little bit of collision contact, I think. Number 17 for Panic, Håkvata, is not going to call anything, and the turnover will stand. And even though I have just joined the stream and this game, I can already tell that the first half must have been a one-sided affair.
Yeah, it was pretty one-sided in the first half. Copenhagen Hucks just coming out stronger. Panic unable to bring any of the form that they had during their good spells yesterday on the stream game, and Copenhagen Hucks playing pretty well and just taking advantage of all the mistakes Panic are making. And now the wind has picked up a bit. I think it's going to maybe even favour the Copenhagen team a small bit more even than they currently are.
On offense, set up in a horizontal stack, working it among their handlers. And they will go for that big forehand shot. It's not going to make it all the way to the end zone, but it's collected expertly by Callison. Is he going to find a teammate in the end zone? Yes, he will, and that's another score and a break for Copenhagen Hucks. Stanford Who with the layout score. He's going to blow a little kiss to the crowds, I have to say, on the sideline, consisting of myself, John, and Milan.
Yeah, he did it.
But we do appreciate it nonetheless. Stanford Who, out of Vancouver, Canada, is an exchange student here in not here in Copenhagen, but there in Copenhagen. Started playing with his high school team Churchill in Vancouver, and then played recreationally with friends in university. He's taken it a bit more seriously here at Rising High. He is missing his VUL team back in Canada. Hound Dogs. And he also started playing disc golf recently. Shout out to his girlfriend, Sam, and his mom, dad, and sister back in Canada. Unfortunately, all of them asleep right now.
You never know, you never know.
Well, we will not panic about that because the pun was intended, and this was actually gonna be a nice throw, but I don't know if the receiver trusted the thrower to get that throw off. So another disc on the ground for Panic, and another chance for Copenhagen to increase the point difference and get into the double digits here. Lefty backhand gets us up the line. Now losing some meters is Anderson. And here is another cut from the front of the stack. It won't do, so a little muscle through for the reset throw is denied by Tim de Goede from Panic. There are still some Panic fans in the chat, so I will do my best to not mispronounce their names too much. This is a high disc, and Anderson rectifies his earlier error. Lefty backhand down the sideline. No continuation, though, into the end zone. Copenhagen for the hammer in the wind. Where is it going to go? It was almost going to go out of the entire stadium, but luckily for us, or for the players on the field, they won't need to climb the fence there.
I think once the disc goes up that high, the wind is going to pick it up a bit more even, so maybe not initially such a bad idea, but when you're putting it up that high, the wind's going to take it today. Especially, we can see the flags in the distance. Up high especially, they're blowing strong, as we know. It's always windier up there.
It was a bit courageous, to say the least. Here's Panic on their own end zone line. Slightly stuck for options, so they will go for the bladey flick as well, and I think the receivers just needed a bit more communication because they were in the right area, both of them. I think that was Petley with De Goede. And it is the team in purple and black. Back on O. Oh, and that's a slight overthrow. I was just going to talk about the Copenhagen jerseys. I really like their design, also the women's. But something a lot more interesting happening right now. A lefty backhand shot for the end zone. I think that helped the Panic offense quite a bit. At least they got the disc a bit further away, making Copenhagen take the long way to the desired destination. We see the sideline pointing to the point of exit of the disc. There's a free player in the form of Kalkenbrock. And Hucks do what their name tells them to do and huck it down the far sideline. Now they're looking for the reset, losing some of those yards again and losing possession in the process too. Harness unable to run that down. So Panic now with a good chance.
We do have some Canadians in the chat letting us know, including one person who says one Hound Dogs member watching here. So our Canadian fans up nice and early to watch him play.
Big shout out to them. Nice one-handed grab by Van Kaan. They go for the around, get it off to De Goede. Oh, and that's a lovely laser flick to the end zone. For the score goes Frank Ravo. And Panic finally add another one to the scoreboard, making the second half count for their team.
Yeah, it was in the first half I was starting to think that We've been a bit well, I've been saying it mostly today. We've been pretty unlucky with the stream so far. We always seem to pick the most one-sided games, and the last game was the first one that actually finished on time, or before time. And the way this first half was going, I was thinking this one might have even beat that time, but at that point there, Panic doing a bit better on defense, managing to get the score, and maybe the wind, I thought it might have suited the Danes a little bit more, but it seems it's helping the Panic a little bit more now, as the Copenhagen break train seems to have slowed down a bit, and maybe Panic here are going to try and get on a bit of a run. I think it's a tall order to come back from this deficit at the moment, but if the last point's anything to go by, perhaps they can get a couple more points and make it close before the end.
Here they are on defense in what's looking like a bit of a sagging zone, but that's a lovely break side put from Copenhagen. Loves goes to Callison. My Danish is probably even worse than my Dutch, but nonetheless, a hand block turns into a short discussion by the players about whether there was some type of contact during the throwing motion or after the disc has been released. We will see how the situation turns out.
Yeah, hard to tell from here. It seemed like he hesitated for a minute before calling it, and I often feel like when players take a moment and hesitate and then decide to make the call, I usually feel it's a bit more of a valid call in that they didn't just instinctively call it.
Yeah.
They decided to slow down for a second and say, do you know what, I thought about it and I'm pretty sure I'm going to call that because I feel confident it is. So if it was an instinct call and called immediately, those ones are maybe not always as correct, but this one they both agreed that it was indeed a foul.
So disc gets tapped back in. Chen finds his reset. And Hucks go backwards to Müller. Oh, and a nice run through D from Panic. The player making sure he gets there nice and early, avoiding contact. And could Panic surprise us with a break? They most certainly could with this nice opener. They find Rust on the near sideline. He resets to Van Kan. Big forehand shot to the back corner of the end zone. Oh, he tries to throw it back in, attempts the greatest instead of maybe focusing on keeping his feet in, but heroic effort nonetheless. Panic not losing faith and really pushing hard.
Appreciated by his teammates as well, a couple of them having a little chuckle at his efforts. I think he's calling the injury after that one, but you like to see people at least attempting it. Not sure if it was you were saying maybe he could toe the line. I didn't have the best view, but again, he decided he was going for the greatest. He did the first two parts right, I believe. He jumped from inbounds, and then he got his hands onto this to attempt the throw. Just the third part just proved a bit too much, and had he managed to get it back in, I'm not sure he would have had a player there, and I'm not sure the wind would have allowed it to get there. But you like to see it, and a couple of his teammates kind of enjoying the moment. So sometimes just a little positive vibe like that can improve your chances of going on. So maybe they get a block here and they can get a turnover and get a score and take more positives out of it. Potentially another foul call here. That disc did seem to come out very wobbly. I think they agree, uncontested foul call there.
Almost immediately accepted. So the disc will go back and the purple boys will start deep in their own end zone. Oh, and a low disc results in a turnover, immediately followed by another throwaway by Panic. That is unfortunate. That was a big chance for them to get a break, possibly their first one in this game, I would suppose, based on the score line.
All the emotions going there. You could see some players laughing, just being like, oh, it's just not our day. The thrower just dropping his head in a bit of frustration. So all the emotions on display here, but they have stopped the Copenhagen team from consistently scoring quickly. So
And that is a huge push for Miller. He collects it beautifully. And another high disc. Can they jump it in? Yes, they can. Callison with the score for Hucks.
I think we might have our numbers potentially wrong. I think someone in the chat is letting us know that is. I don't even know if I can attempt to pronounce this name, but
Hjalte Nielsen. Okay, well, he's wearing the wrong number, but if it is Hjalte Nielsen, then props to him. He even managed to celebrate before he scored the point. Unlucky for Panic there. They were so close to getting that break, but instead, Copenhagen Hucks finally entered the double digits. And we are entering the last stage of this game with about 15 minutes left on the clock.
I think the jersey change must have been a tactical decision before the game to throw off the scouting reports of the other teams. I remember a few years ago we were warming up in Copenhagen for the European Ultimate Championships in 2015, and we were playing the Belgians, and we knew they had scouted us, so we decided to all warm up in each other's jerseys. It started pouring rain, and then right before the game I had to go and get my wet jersey off one of the players who didn't put on his rain gear before the game, and then I gave him back his nice dry jersey.
There's Panic once again, taking the first break side option. High disc, but brought down by Ravo. They're moving together slowly and steadily. Petley now with a big throw. And it is a score for Panic. Making sure that this game is not over for them just yet.
Not sure if it was an inside-out flick or an outside-in backhand there, but I thought when the disc was swinging to the other side, it was gonna be ending up in the other corner. So, but it comes back this way, and wide open player, nice throw into the space, easy catch, and good to see Panic getting that one. I feel yesterday they had a couple more throws like that. They've just struggled a small bit today to bring that the at times good offense they had yesterday in a pretty tough game they had yesterday at the end of the day, but they did look better, I would say, in yesterday evening's game than they have looked in this game. So hopefully they'll start to get a couple more passages of play like that and a couple more nice throws like that, and they can get a few more points on the board, because I do think they're playing below themselves what they're capable of in this game. But first time seeing Copenhagen Hucks, and I think that maybe they've just had such a strong start. They know the job is done, and maybe that's a bit of the reason why some of the clinicalness, if that's a word, has gone out of their game since the earlier points. And I think maybe this rolling pull that's going to roll right to the back kind of summarizes it. And he decides to not leave it roll out, so I guess someone touched it, but I would have left that roll out the back if nobody touched it.
Love's now in the backfield. Panic clearly excited about the success of that pull, really trying to push the handlers back, but now Copenhagen manages to break through that zone look. The mark is set now. Loves gets the dump off to the middle. The Panic zone doing a good job. But now I think the defense gets there first. That was a good heads-up play by Ravo again, and now he's open in the deep space. Are they going to chuck it to him? Yes, they are, but the defender is already paying attention, and there was a bit of a contact on the throw, but nothing called, and this is another big put. Great catch on the far sideline by Hucks. They move quickly towards their own end zone, and as I say that, they do decide to go backwards, and unfortunately that does not work out to their advantage.
The classic 30 meters backwards stump.
And Panic put up a forehand, and we are seeing some frustration from the teammates of Van Drunen, as the fatigue is starting to set in. It's been a long 2 days. The party was fine yesterday. So long points like this, not everybody is a big fan.
Yeah, it happened in the last game as well. There was 1 or 2 points that looked really clean, and then every now and again there was just a bit of a messy point, but nice catch by the receiver there.
Oh, and as it is often the case, I think the layout was maybe a little too painful, and the player hit the ground a little harder than he wished for, and I think we will have an injury call.
Yeah, hopefully he's okay. He seemed okay on the initial layout, but then the fact that he's staying down means it might be a bit more damage than initially looked, so I think he might need a bit of help getting off the field. He doesn't seem to want to move too much. He is sitting up, so he's okay in that sense, but a couple of players around him might mean it's hopefully it's nothing too serious. Okay, he does seem to be moving both his arms anyway, so I think he's going to get up, and impact injury probably just needs to go off and take a few minutes to recover. So
good display of spirit by the other players. They are all clapping their hands as he gets help to walk off the field. Also, thank you, Ilya, for letting us know the difference in the numbers. I have Huyukor Callison as Loves on my roster with the numbers, so it's all a big mess. But luckily for us, Panic is on attack, so we will have to focus on their names for now. Nice upline cut and a continuation forehand. It's an inside-out throw, but oh my lord, it does not reach the intended destination once more as it flies out of bounds all the way out the back of the end zone. Panic just seemed to get so close every time, John, and then the last pass is just always that tad.
I think they're just struggling a little bit to adjust to the wind. It's a slight downwind breeze. It's not that obvious when you're maybe out there playing, but if you're used to playing the wind, I always say to people, a small bit of wind is almost the most dangerous wind because you're not always adjusting your throws for it. And that one, again, it wasn't the easiest throw technically to get right, but the fact that he overshot it by so much, I think he just didn't factor in the wind enough.
And here's the Hucks. Throwing it to the defense for Callahan. And they couldn't have asked for much more so late in the game. We only have about 9 minutes left on the clock. And the Panic team finally do something that is definitely worth a shout out for the in the chat as well. A Callahan score. We haven't had one all tournament, so to get one, we have. Okay, I stand corrected. In any case, this was, I think, a nice ending to what has so far been more of a struggle for the Dutch team. So at least something to go look back on and celebrate.
Attempted greatest, and now a Callahan. The only thing missing is the massive comeback in the next 7-8 minutes. So if Copenhagen Hucks decide to throw a couple more Callahans, we could get this unlikeliest of comebacks. But don't think Panic are rushing enough to get it going. But some positive moments, and obviously a nice little highlight for them there. A nice wide open Callahan catch. Maybe he was wearing a purple jersey for a moment because it looked like he looked like he was the only player in that area.
So Hucks now will have to recover from that last point. Definitely not what they had in store, but that's a lovely forehand put. And look at Panic! They do their best, but it's the Hucks who come down with it anyway. Heroic effort by Frank Ravo. He's been so helpful for Panic on defense, and he even gets there this time. But it is the smaller player out of Copenhagen who comes down with the disc. He managed to get up and still focus his eyes enough on the prize. Yeah, and that's another score for the Hucks.
There realized he couldn't get the first bid, so he decided we'll just take him out by the ankles and Great work by the offensive player, able to refocus and make that second grab, and under an unfortunate collision that obviously was unintentional by the defender, who was just making the bid to try and get a block. And again, able to recover and make that grab. That's not our one, is it? Running around, no, ours is dressed differently.
No, that is not our baby, but it is baby Cam nonetheless. Look at that. Look at that. Whatever you do, they can do it better and look cuter while doing it. That is
the speed there. It's getting left behind.
That is the next women's team warming up for the upcoming slot. It will be ULTI and Amsterdam Ultimate Club. Unfortunately, we will not stream that game as we are taking a short lunch break before we go into the final stages of the tournament, bringing you the best action and the best teams that this tournament has to offer. Under pressure, Panic gets the catch, but then the
butt block.
Then the following throw does not go according to the plan. So I believe this is Callison picking up the disc for Hucks. He centers. Oh, and a heads-up D from the Panic player. That was a great bit of play. I think it was De Goede. They will try their luck once more. No, this is De Goede here. Van Drunen. Straight to the other sideline. He gets the disc back. Handlers working together to move the disc. Now it's a little bit stuck with the poach in the open side. They wind up, lefty backhand, it curves nicely, but the defender is tall and ready. He does not. Is that a thing? Is that at this tournament people just don't seem to care about needing to walk to the front of the line. They just are happy to start the play from the back of the end zone. Callison getting the disc in the middle. He thinks about the continuation. He gets it in the form of Gul. And here is the 5-minute jingle. Callison again with Gul. And that is an errant throw into the end zone.
Yeah, I think a bit of the not wanting to walk into the front of the end zone is probably from yesterday in the wind. Anytime you took more than 5 seconds, I imagine these teams were facing zones yesterday, so they've probably just got the mindset now of do not let the other team set up a defense because we do not want to have to beat a zone in this wind, but not today. Today there's pretty good conditions for playing, and that one just an errant throw.
Yay, and we're finally getting some recognition in the chat for getting the names right. Here is Panic deep in their own end zone. Hucks working hard. They want to get this over with. 5 minutes left on the clock. They want to secure their spot. Oh, and that is an overthrow with a new strong gust of wind. Callison to pick up on the near sideline. He steps around, but no need for that. He's got an open side cut and an unexpected break side high release something. Was not expected by the receiver. And the disc is on the ground once more. Panic through the break side. Callison says, no, ain't got time for this. We're just going to try our end zone plane one more time. Anderson. And there is the pass to the front cone. But yet again, the disc is wobbled. And Panic. Mordvinov. Centers to Van Drunen. Rust. With a gainer to Petley. Petley thinks about the deep continuation. Doesn't take it. Oh, and a disc just out of reach once again. Gloves did not help this time. Less than 3 minutes on the clock. This might be one of the last points in this game. Hucks taking the inside channel. They carry on to Anderson. Panic defense doing a good job slowing them down. Müller. Waiting patiently for his mark to actually start counting. Big forehand blade into the end zone. And that is another score and a point for Copenhagen Hucks. They go up 12-4 over Panic. And the time is not over yet, so we will definitely play out this next point to actually determine where the cap will lie.
Perhaps where the cup zone will start, as we've started seeing a bit more of those kind of poachy looks in this game. Again, I think that the end of that point there was a bit of the story of the game for Panic. They've had some good defense at times around the handlers, but Copenhagen Hucks just able to usually hold on to the disc, find the space and work it in. And like you said, game almost over here. Last 1 or 2 points in this game. I believe we'll be streaming, unless there's something crazy happens here. I believe the next game we will have on the stream will probably contain one of these teams again, as I think it's the Rising final, which is the 9-10 game, and this is the game to make it to that game. So unless there's a dramatic turnaround here, I imagine we're going to see Copenhagen Hucks again pretty soon on the stream.
But we will not write off Panic just yet. Bravo is back on the line, working it with Petley. And Petley unleashes another one of his forehands, but look at that defensive effort when you talk about catching your Ds. That is exactly what we're on about. Two-handed grab to secure the possession for Copenhagen Hucks, who are here to go the other way. Kalkenbach on the sideline finds a continuation as the final jingle goes. Let it go is not what she meant when she sang that. Panic. One more chance. Lovely break side throw for the score for Panic. They add one more to the scoreboard. Petley deserves a medal for that one. He waited for a long time, but it made it there anyway. Bravo with the assist, and now it looks like the players will discuss whether they will play one more point or not. I think it is cap 1. I feel like they should. So if they do, we will play to 13.
I think they've decided that.
But it almost looks like they are happy to take the extra time to relax before the last game for them, I suppose, of the tournament.
Yeah, I believe Copenhagen Hucks now are into the 9-10 final, which is the next round of games in this division here. So that will be their next game.
That's right. So the next women's slot we're not going to stream. We apologize, but we do need to eat at some stage. It is only me, John, and Milan here in the booth today. Congratulations to Copenhagen's Hucks. We will see them again. Props to Panic Open for fighting the fight till the end. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And thanks for watching. Thanks for correcting us, helping us. And we will be looking forward to seeing you in the chat again. For now, we are checking out.
Here we go.
This year, London Invite is bigger than ever, with 8 teams in the Open Division, 8 teams in the Women's Division, and for the first time, a full 8-team Mixed Division.
With 5 World Games teams, USA, Canada, Australia, Germany, France.
As well as the Tokai Super Team, is sure to be the ultimate showcase of the best in the world.
More teams, more streams, more stars, more ultimate.
More excitement.
You're not going to want to miss London Invite 2025.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.